Renegades somehow managed to wangle their way into the 5v5 show match later on, but not in the actual tournament. Impunity on the blue side, Tribe on the red. And now this is a point at which Impunity sometimes struggle. Their draft phase is not always the best. They're going to get rid of the Saw to start us off.
Yeah, Saw ban is not something we normally see right off the bat. However, it is something that Tribe in the past has played. They really like the Lyra Saw combination, that arcane passage to get the spun up Saw right into the fight and mow the enemies down. Definitely something Dienzio hasn't played a ton of as far as on the live stage or in any tournaments, but something they've definitely started to work into their comfortable draft scenarios.
A lot of players here who have been on the world stage before. Two members of Impunity, Cote d'Ivoire and I believe Blue Ziddy. It could have been Deathview. I'm trying to remember which one was there last year. And then Tribe, of course, you've got Dienzio, you've got Tigers, and you've got all these guys who've been around the block quite a while. So a lot of experience in this series. Blackfeather is a ban from Tribe. The Lyra pickup is something we're seeing a lot across the course of the tournament. And then the Churnwalker for Tribe.
Yeah, and Churnwalker is something that we've actually seen almost banned every game here so far in Worlds, both on the alternative stream and on the mainstream as well. He is definitely a huge playmaker, but Lyra can be as well. They're very good at setting up plays in your own favor. But Tribe, they're going to go ahead and take away the Baron here, and that's something that it has been a while since we've seen like a hugely successful Baron, but it's definitely still possible.
It's something we see quite a bit in EU at times. Weapon Power Baron is still something that is around, so not too surprised to see it banned, but against Impunity, Cote d'Ivoire is known for having a little bit of a wacky pick, playing around with XP, trying to work his way around the jungle, so I'm interested to see how they do decide to pick here. The Pedal is banned Gwen and Krull straight away for Impunity.
Which, to me, with the way the draft has been set up so far, this to me screams Crystal Power Gwen, right? And that is something that Impunity is very good at. They use more of their positioning to their defense, so we'll likely see this Crystal Power Gwen in the lane go very, very heavy in the offense very quickly. The only bit of defense I would probably positioning to their advantage, to be their defense. So we're getting ready to get into this one, though.
On to the Halcyon Fold. Impunity playing up against Tribe. Tribe, of course, coming through the wild card spot, but a lot of people see them almost like the second seed from NA. TSM haven't impressed as much as they could have done recently. So I think Tribe are vying with TSM for that second seed position.
Well, when this Tribe team actually formed, they were kind of coined by the community as the TSM Killers. They were a team of all-stars that kind of just happened to get put together, and then Max Green as well. He was, really kind of a slower-paced captain when he first started playing in the Vainglory competitive scene for Hammers back in the day, but has really evolved his skills, and that's what we need to look for. Is Max Green has really become a huge playmaker to go along with the big names of Dienzio and T-Tigers, and I put him right up there at the top, close to Gage Fizzle as far as his mechanical skills.
Yeah, had that like 2 to 3 week period where he went from kind of an average captain into this godly captain who makes incredible plays. And is incredibly good on the Churnwalker as well. Tribe did get the Elder Treant there, so they have that slight gold lead. We saw a little bit more of a fight for it than we have in some of the previous games. I like that from Impunity, being a little bit more aggressive in the face of this Tribe lineup.
Yeah, absolutely. But when we do mention this name Tribe, this is a team that, we revere as possibly having the biggest live buff. It's, Dienzio throughout the main season can play maybe a little bit underwhelming, maybe not be the scariest laner. When you get him and T-Tigers onto the stage, it's like they're going Super Saiyan, right? They make just insane plays, and I'm super excited. As you mentioned, Impunity was able to run this Crystal Gwen last year. It has received some buffs since then as well. Can they take down Tribe? Can they show the world that this live buff is something they can deal with?
You look all the way back to the Hammers days with Dienzio when he was that live buff. We did see another Treant going down towards Tribe, getting it on spawn, then stealing away the front. We wanted to see this aggression from Tigers on the Koshka, and that's exactly what he's doing. Deathview looking to try and catch off the Max Green and Tigers, getting those weakness stacks building up. Cote d'Ivoire's on his way down as well. It's actually Greasy here playing for Impunity as well. Gets the damage down with the right bulwark. T-Tigers able to help Tribe get first. Cote d'Ivoire pulls back. Tribe can keep chasing in here, but Dienzio doing a lot of work here for Tribe.
Yeah, that was a really interesting play coming out of Tribe there in the jungle. T-Tigers actually picked himself up a scout trap, was able to place it, it got some additional damage down onto Deathview, and they were able to turn it around for first blood, much earlier than we saw in our first games that we cast.
Yeah, 7 minutes.
Yeah, 7 minutes is you know, where we were looking for Cloud9 earlier. Tribe stepping things up. This Gwen already starting. He builds into the Aftershock first, makes a lot of sense. You want that additional cooldown and that burst for Koshka, and then usually goes into some very heavy crystal power after that. It really uses Koshka's ratios to her advantage, keeps the aggression up, and can make it very difficult for this Krull to get late enough into the game to have a significant impact.
And there's a great number that you can just look on your screen. T-Tigers has 28 farm to 12 death. That aggression, stealing away those jungle camps, stealing away those healer treants when they can, the fronts, getting the elder treants for themselves as well, just allows Tribe to accelerate to 1,500 gold lead already. They're just standing in the Impunity jungle, having no fear at all, and taking whatever they want.
Yeah, and a lot of that is due to Koshka's just speed. She has a pretty fast jungle clear, specifically when you compare it up against a Krull, who has a very slow jungle clear, and then Koshka's ability to actually physically move in the jungle. She is just so fast. Once you land those abilities, you got a speed buff, and it makes it very easy for T-Tigers to kind of play with this food a little bit. But you know, as we get later into this game, I am interested to see where QC goes with this Gwen build. There's definitely a couple options. You know, Shatterglass first is typically what we see. Clockwork in there for that energy regeneration, which has had some substantial buffs as well. You know, that Clockwork.
This is not good for Deathview. He's like 2 levels behind the Tribe and looking for the Crystal Center here as well. Deathview cannot really do anything. Has got to level 5, but still no from Hell's Heart for him. T-Tigers does have the yummy Captive Frenzy if he wants to jump in. Tribe continues to extend their gold lead, not really caring too much about pressuring the lane, instead just taking away camp after camp.
Yeah, it did look like Impunity was able to secure that treant though that Tribe was on, so good plays coming out of them. They aren't going to be able to stop T-Tigers taking the remainder of their jungle, but you know, getting anything is better than getting nothing. Now they've got to be careful.
Max Green wasn't there, had just gone back to base, so deciding not to go for the full engage there. But I feel if they had just used Yummy Captive Frenzy onto Courtevoir, you're in a very dead Lyra. Fountain already completed onto Max Green. It looks like Courtevoir might be going up towards the Crucible first here instead of going for that early Fountain.
Yeah, it definitely appears so, and that does help out those Imperial Sigils. But I like this build path a little bit more when you're more ahead in the early game as opposed to playing from behind. T-Tigers, a little bit of aggression there. Not quite enough to take down Courtevoir, but you know, definitely making sure that he is a presence at all times, making sure that he's a threat. And we see now he's level 7. He's approaching the overdrive for his B, whereas Deathview not even at his ultimate yet, not even at that level 6 spike where Krull gets that stun.
Still only on 17 farm as well to the 50 from T-Tigers. What a monumental advantage for Tribe. They played this jungle incredibly well, but start having to get these objectives. You can't just continually farm the enemy jungle, you have to get something off it, and they're looking for the first turret. Should be theirs. They get it 6 minutes 20 into the game. Tribe with the early aggression, and it's paying off.
Yeah, and that was such a smart play from Tribe there. If you notice in that fight, T-Tigers was right on top of QC, but he wasn't attacking Gwen. He knew that they're far enough ahead that they didn't have the damage to actually threaten him, because you know, Crystal Powered Gwen, despite being a little bit more buff, it's about 20% quicker that she comes online, doesn't yet have the damage to actually take him down, so they focused on that turret. They were able to take it down. The gold value of that turret is now down to 200 for the first turret per player instead of the 300, so it's not as big of a gold burst, but it's definitely, against a Crystal Powered Gwen specifically, because last hitting in the early and mid game can be difficult, that is a huge advantage for Tribe now. That 600 gold is massive.
Right, Bulwark will lock up T-Tigers. It is a weakness to the Lyra of the Koshka. You can get locked up pretty easily with that Bright Bulwark. We see Tigers has gone for an infusion here as well. Playing this mid-game incredibly aggressively, has the Aftershock, got reflex block for a little bit of defense. It looks like Max Green's going towards the Crucible of his own. Poison Shift finish on DNZio as well. So first tier 3 item across the board. Deathview has gone tension both first on the Krull here as well. Different to what we saw in the Hunters Detonation Cracker game earlier, where it was more of a breaking point Krull build.
Yeah, it is a little bit more of upfront damage, but it does not give you that heavy, sustainable damage that Kroll is going to want as the game goes later.
Holy!
Oh my goodness!
Holy! Tigers just shreds Tigers is going to have to run away. The ace is high, and the From Hell's Heart miss. From Hell's Heart will connect over Max Green, but Dienzio and T-Tigers are very willing to continue to step forward into this fight. There's still a turret there, and the Crystal Sentries come up to help as well, so Tribe will just remove that from the Halcyon for the time being. That's the second Crystal Sentry down. One life remains in Impunity. Running out of time in this game.
Yeah, T-Tigers, what a great escape there. Dodges the aces high, dodges the From Hell's Heart. Then Max Green, again, we talked about just the plays that he makes, turns around, intercepts that sword coming back towards Dienzio. They're able to force the side of Impunity back. They don't take anything huge off of it, but they are doing something. They are instilling fear into Impunity with the aggression they've been able to upkeep. And that can be really devastating on the mental game of the players. They have to keep positive, and Impunity definitely not out of this. That Crystal Power Gwen in the late game can be absolutely insane, and against a Kashka who starts to fall off toward the later portion of the mid game, that can be where we really start to see that swing. Kroll and Gwen, much later game focused than the Kashka. It's going to rely a lot on Dienzio and Max Green in the late game.
Waiting on those 3 completed items for Queasy and Death Q. Sitting on 2 with the Clockwork in the Shadow Glass on Queasy. Has an infusion as well. Goldminer will go over to Tribe once again. That's a 4,000 gold lead for them. Edging towards half a decade. I forgot what 10 is. Like half a decade, I guess. Edging towards 5. Edging towards 5. We'll go with the simplicity here. But Tribe still in a very good spot, you have to say. Next steps, look, this turret in the lane continues to take away those Crystal Sentries, continues to take away the gold mines, and continue to shut Impunity out of their own jungle. Basically double farm on T-Tigers over Death Q. Queasy's done a pretty good job in the lane, but he's still behind Dienzio, and this Crystal Sentry is about to be eliminated from the Halcyon Vault.
Yeah, and T-Tigers has already gone all the way into an Aegis, trying to make sure that he can survive long enough against this Crystal Power Gwen that they can close out the game before she's really able to come online. And I like this coming out of T-Tigers. Again, goes towards a very strong Crystal Power second tier 3 item, which in this case is going to be the Broken Myth, to try to get through some of the shielding that Death Q and Cordovoy have built. But this Gwen, now that the Clockwork's online, this is where she can start to be a threat. This is where things can start to get a little bit more risky for Tribe, because if you're not able to jump right onto Gwen and take her out of the fight early, the range advantage that her poke has over Dienzio can definitely change things up. I do like that Dienzio has gone for the breaking point second. You're up against a Kroll, you're up against a Lyra. You know inherently these fights are going to be a little bit more drawn out than usual. So it gives them that time to build things up, and then they can turn their attention to Rick. And you see who's chased down by T-Tigers.
Imperial Stitcher does come out from Cordovoy. It jumps back in onto Queasy. Damage coming out there from Ridge, only gets the silence onto 1, yeah, becomes 20. Get the stun on the Death. T-Tigers doing a lot of work. Kind of stun on Max Green as he's tanking up the turret for the time being. T-Tigers trying to get him from the side. Max Green still underneath that turret. The From Hell's Heart straight onto the face of T-Tigers. And that cat dived a little bit too deep, wasn't able to catch its prey. And Tribe lose their first kill of the game.
Yeah, it's 1-1 now, but we still have a turret up for Tribe. We still have about a 6,000 gold lead for Tribe at this point. But Impunity, again, they are getting to the point in this game where their builds are starting to come online, and Kashka is going to start to have more and more difficult of a time. That last fight broke out incredibly quickly, but we did have a blocked trespass that appeared. However, that did take that block away. It allowed the Yummy Cat and Frenzy to come through. I don't think Death Q was expecting it to come right towards the end there. He did have the block for himself, wasn't able to pop it in time. And, again, fortunately, T-Tigers a little too far, was likely looking for that kill onto Gwen. Whether he lived or died, if he got that kill onto Gwen, there was no way that QC was going to be able to defend that turret from the remaining forces of Tribe that are Max Green and Dienzio.
Exactly, QC is so squishy as well. He's less than 2,000 HP at the moment. Compare that to like T-Tigers, who's at 2,600, or even Dienzio, who's at 2,200.
With a tier 3 defensive item.
Exactly, with a monumental advantage in terms of tankiness. But as we say, that Gwen will come online. Another gold miner is going to go over to Tribe here. Their vision control has been superfluous, almost too much vision really from them. Scout traps all over the Impunity jungle, but Impunity are being able to step just ever so slightly further forward, starting to get a bit more defense on Death. Still only sitting at 30 CS, but Cruel as we get later in the game will start to come online a little bit more. Only level 9 though, still lacking behind T-Tigers, who's 11, 12 at the from Hell's Heart. Block. Good stuff by Max. Keep himself safe. Oh, T-Tigers is going to jump across the wall. Impunity can chase this one down a little bit. Need to be cautious though, because T-Tigers does still have the ability to bounce back in with that yummy Catnip Frenzy. Tribe deciding they do not want to fight for the time being and allowing Impunity to push up the lane.
QC was almost able to stop those recalls, was very close. And now that he has this Broken Myth online, that third item Spike is where this Gwen really starts to get incredibly strong. And T-Tiger's already at half health, has to be careful.
For the Trespass, blocked out, stunned quite connect. The damage is going to come down from Yenzo, who's up to 7 stacks. Here comes the jump in from T-Tigers as well. Grease is going to heal up with that Imperial Sigil, waiting for the cooldowns. Buckshot Bonanza back off, pops it into the bush. There's a Crucible from Max Green and a Fountain Quarter Bar left available. So both teams have one of those big captain items left, but Tribe are ahead in terms of just pure gold by about 8,000 at the moment. So Impunity has to find the perfect engage. T-Tigers jumps in, Death gets that. 34th farm of the game. Still Impunity so tentative around these fights. They know that Tribe are big advantage. Good base stun there. Tienzu's going to want to get the stun up. The right ball comes out as well. Ace is high on towards T-Tigers. Is still able to keep himself alive in the backline. Tienzu doing a lot of damage in this fight. Up to 8 stacks. Yummy Captain Frenzy. It's going to get the stun across towards Deku as well. That Quill is dead. And Tribe now can chase in onto Creasy and Cordovar, who are not very near to the fray.
No, definitely not. Now, that fight was looking very good in the side of Impunity, but Kroll got a little too far out. A great stun coming out of T-Tigers, a good follow-up coming out of Max Green. It allowed Dienzio that time to finish building up those stacks at breaking point. He was able to bring down that Kroll, and without Kroll, there's just no way that Gwen, with the health remaining on the side of Tribe, would have been able to take them down, especially now with the Fountain coming off the cooldown right at that moment as well. Max Green has saved that, so he'll be ready to go for the next fight. And Tribe, you know, again, they are very far ahead, but this is the point in the game that the side of Impunity can really turn things around. Kroll has completed that Shiver Steal, and if he's able to lock down Dienzio and prevent him from getting away from this Gwen, then things can really start to swing heavily. The damage and the AoE that comes out of Gwen can be absolutely insane.
T-Tigers just isn't having Death Q any of his jungle though, and it makes it harder for the Krill, of course, to get to those completed items. If you're not getting any farm, you really don't get as much gold to start stacking up those items. However, as we say, Creasy is in a good position on this Gwen in terms of completed build. Started up here, Cordovan needs to step in that citrus to get some healing back. Pops the healing fast instead. Death Q looking to speed into this with that Krill heroic perk, but Impunity, I think, they have no vision on it at all. No flares as well for Cordovan. Puts this sigil down. Now they know the Kraken's being taken. I think they can sense that T-Tigers are waiting in the wind. So there is Breaking coming out as well. Damage coming onto Max Green. T-Tigers jumps on towards the backline, but a great stun from Impunity will be able to continue to chase in. Max Green is low. T-Tigers continuing to dive. Max Green jumps all the way in. A lot of damage coming out from Cordovan and Greasy there. The end having to run away. Greasy steps forward with a buckshot. There's the bouncing out of Max Green. Tries to pull them back up. Time. No bouncing of their own, but they do have a Crucible in case the engage comes out from Tribe. Impunity should be okay. The Arcane Passage forward to try and chase Tigers off. That's very brave from Cordovar, because Death Q is all the way back in Sanctuary. Now has joined up with his team once again. They're looking to try and deny some of this business. Dienzio waiting for the wings. T-Tigers then takes a butt to the face. Ace is high, doesn't connect. Dienzio now onto Creasy. It's up to Cordovar to try and back him away, but the boom shot Bonanza's doing a lot of damage. Dienzio stacking up, will get the kill, and now it's Aliva V2. She's going to go down as well. Max Green chasing Death Q away, and that girl really does not have the damage to deal with 3 members of Tribe. They should be able to clean up this Ace at the end. They do. They'll get the Kraken off it as well, and they can push towards the base of Impunity.
Tribe played that absolutely perfectly. When it comes into a 1v1 scenario between the Vox and the Gwen, if Vox is able to stay in range to keep getting those attacks down onto the Gwen, because he has gone so offensive on this Gwen build, doesn't have any armor, it allows Dienzio to build up those breaking point stacks incredibly quickly. And as we saw in the fight previous, the From Hell's card was able to create distance for QC here, and that's what allowed them to get out safely, and in fact even turn the fight around a little bit. But with Kroll down in the jungle, he focused his attention on the T-Tigers, and then from there just wasn't able to actually help out in the fight at all. It was only a matter of time. Dienzio, again, stacking up the breaking point, brings down the Gwen, and they turn their attention straight down. They pick up the Ace, they pick up the Kraken, and with only 2 turrets remaining, they may have just picked up the game.
Exactly. They just need this Kraken to do a couple of turrets. They've only had 5 kills in this game as well, but their control of the jungle is absolutely superb. Usually now trying to take down this Kraken before it's due too much work. T-Tiger's got something to say about it. As has the Mean before that ultimate. Want to connect that hook and the chain onto the members of the community. Who are there in the front line. Ace High doesn't connect onto the Dienzio. That's the first person fall. Deku trying to chase on towards this box, down towards the bottom side of the fight. He will be able to pull one back with Max Green. Tigers able to zone out Greasy as well. He's going to jump back in. The Kraken takes a second trip to throw it. This should be the game. Tribe should be able to close this one out from here. They want a few more kills to pad their KDA, but it doesn't really matter too much. Dienzio able to take down the main crystal and Tribe to go 1-0 up. A bit good.
That Tribe great. It was a little bit slower paced of a game. As you mentioned, it's only 5-2 at this 19-minute point, but they played so well. Again, every opportunity they could take to actually capitalize
on the blue side this time. Impunity on the red side, on side B, and it's a Lyra ban to start us off from Tribe.
Yeah, Lyra taken off the table quickly, but Impunity, they answer it back very quickly with the Churnwalker. So these are the 2 captains that made it through last game. They've now been taken off the table in the first. The Captain Kashka, if the draft just happens to go that way, and an Echo and a null wave gauntlet, and if you're able to lock down one of those carries for, you know, almost 5 I don't want to put it past Max Green, though.
That's true.
Again, he's just really, really come to light in these past couple months. You know, specifically autumn season, as you were mentioning, it seemed like this 2 to 3 week period went from like he's an okay roamer to how was this guy not at the top forever? You know,
exactly.
So.
We are going to see the Black Feather picked up by Impunity and the Grace ban as well, and an Arden ban. So really sitting down on that 2nd tier worth of roamers, unless, you know, Black Feather roam, Koshka roam, Lorelei. Let's go. I think this is the first Lorelei we've seen in the tournament thus far.
It is the first Lorelei that I've seen, and I'm pretty sure I've watched every game. I think. I might have missed part of one. But this is a very scary composition set up by Tribe here. This is actually what I would probably say for Tribe is their most comfortable draft that they can get. T-Tigers has got his Kashka. Dienzio has got Vox. You know, he's always played Vox. It's just been a hero that works really well for his mechanical skills. And Max Green on this Fortress is just going to be able to help keep the team in range. In the last game, we saw Impunity was running from Kashka quite frequently. It's going to be a little more difficult to do with this Fortress. So out of this Lorelei specifically, we're going to need to see the fish food landing stuns as frequently as you can. And it's very good in kind of these bottleneck choke points. Yeah. If you're able to get a stun down onto multiple enemies, then that can allow the Blackfeather, both with the on point and the Rose offensive, to get a lot of AoE damage down. So we'll have to see what this last pick is here. We're running pretty low on time for Impunity.
They could take their
really
time.
Thinking about
They're thinking, like, do we want to go CP Blackfeather? Do we want to go Weapon Power Blackfeather? Do we want to combine it with something like a melee laner in the form of a Rona?
Yeah, so this Rona will very likely be in the lane as the laner, which is going to put Blackfeather in the jungle as Clearwall, which can be so game-changing.
That it can. I'm really excited to see exactly how effective this Lorelei can be, because Cote d'Ivoire has been such a consistent roamer across the course of his international career. He's always been very strong, hasn't always had the best of results as part of the team, but him individually, he's played very well. So I'm really excited to see exactly how he pilots this Lorelei. Going for the fish food first, as you say, getting that clam, trying to catch out his enemies, get the stun, also has the AoE damage afterwards, so currently just trying to force Tribe away from the Treant in case they did decide to go for it, but Tribe are like, nah, it's going to start it up.
I'm actually surprised that DefQ is the one tanking up the minions here in the jungle now. He will probably get the health treants to help heal him up. It would have made more sense for QC though, as he's obviously Rona. He'll have that book of eulogies, and everything will be alright. But now with this fight getting ready to start up here over the Treant, will we see Tribe get that first Treant again? Can they make this steal?
Looks like they've decided not to go for it. Giving it up to Impunity, who'll be happy to secure it for themselves, and that is good for Impunity, you know. A much better early start. It is only a 300 gold lead, but it's something. And now we see Quisi and Cote d'Ivoire come back up into the lane to try and push the NCO out a little bit. Minion Candy is available on Cote d'Ivoire, has been used, and DefQ has one as well. They're going to jump in. Dienzio should be okay with Max Green coming across to help.
Oh, fancy footwork out of Dienzio there. The fish food is coming out. Uses that sonic zoom just at the right time to get him out of harm's way. And he has popped that healing flask so he can stay here in the lane. But with the book of eulogies on QC and Dienzio only having that swift shooter so far, obviously QC's going to have the better sustain. And I'm interested to see how the later portion of this game goes once we get that water wall online by Cote d'Ivoire. That does cleanse crowd control, so if a Yummy Catnip Frenzy is able to make it through, if it does not get reflex block, he can use that ability to help get his teammate out of harm's way.
Right over the Treant here. Cote d'Ivoire to take a scout trap to the back, and so down about half HP. Treant so low, gets taken by Tribe. Here comes Quisi with the jump. Max Green's low, Tiger's in that front line. Mortal Wound coming out on him. He's going to be able to escape down towards the bottom side of the fight. Max Green below 200 HP, but surviving as well. Impunity continues to chase in, and T-Tigers is trying to jump on towards that backline. DefQ really has nowhere to go now. Hops back to the Sanctuary as T-Tiger steps forward, doesn't find him. We see, however, maybe slightly overextended here as he tries to steal away this Treant. Didn't get rooted up, so a little bit of mobility for him. Takes it away. Tiger's trying to take a Treant of his own to regen. We see continuing to jump in. I think he's just realized he's going to die here. Like, there's not really much way of him to get out of it. Cote d'Ivoire's going to go down as well. 2 kills for Tribe, and a big overextension, in my opinion, from Impunity.
Yeah, that was a huge risk for a single Treant in return. That's now first blood bounty going on over to Tribe, as well as the second kill going to them as well, putting things back into their favor. You know, we were talking about Impunity taking a little bit of an early lead, which, you know, would have been great against this Kashka to keep the Tigers down if possible. But the Tribe were able to just position themselves appropriately enough. They've now found the first fight. They've also found themselves another Treant off the back of taking the one at the beginning of that last fight. And they are looking very good right now. They're, you know, very comfortable. I do really hope to see QC on this Rona really be able to take things in the late game, as again, Kashka will start to fall off. Fortress as well will start to fall off, whereas Lorelei, Rona, and Blackfeather will only accelerate themselves through this game. So even if Impunity are able to keep it close, as long as Blackfeather doesn't start to get snowballed out here, then they should be in a pretty comfortable spot.
It's the next 5 minutes that really define how this game goes. If Tribe are able to get into the enemy jungle, steal away jungle camps from Impunity, stop DefQ from being able to farm up on this Blackfeather, then we'll see Impunity just fall to the wayside and try to take another relatively quick victory. But if T-Tigers cannot find these kills and cannot find these steals, Impunity are in a very good spot to challenge in this second game. Still behind in terms of gold, but it's only about 1,000 at the moment. Tribe now looking for the jump on the corner work. He's there as well, passing into the face, jump back towards the turret. Tigers gets a little bit of a faux splitter to the head, or to the back. You can split your foe many different ways, horizontally, vertically, diagonally, in an oblique split. A spiral split is the true split of champions.
interesting one so far. Quarterboy might be a little too far out.
Uses the healing fast, but Dienzio should be able to get the kill with that final auto. There is the Yummy Cabinet Frenzy as well as they dive underneath the turret. Dienzio tanking this one up for the time being. T-Tiger's there onto Kusi, takes him out. DefQ now does have the road defensive, looking for some damage onto Max Green, getting those heart drop stacks up, gets the kill on towards T-Tigers. Wasn't even expecting that. Max Green getting chased in here. Dienzio's like, oh, please don't bring it to me, because DefQ's looking for a triple by himself. Would be a 3v1 if he can take it. Max Green's so low. Heart drop's coming out. Dienzio now, no energy on him, pops the healing plus. Quarterbar here in time. Dienzio can't quite get the final auto out, and Dienzio manages to take down the unstoppable DefQ.
That just absolutely when Dienzio needed it. That resonance bounce comes through just when it looked like DefQ was out safely. Just unfortunate situation, right? One little sliver
would
of
have been the best 1v3 play we've seen thus far.
It almost looked like it for sure, and now DefQ hitting level 6 has picked himself up an infusion in pocket, as well as T-Tigers 7 has one in pocket. They can pop those whenever they're ready. Looking at the farm in the jungle, this is a totally different game this time around. At this 6-minute mark in the last game, T-Tigers was just substantially ahead. I mean, we were looking at a 10-15 CS Troll up against 40 CS on Kashka. Now we're pretty even at 39 to 33, so this is where Impunity really starts to stand a chance, is that this mid-game is coming, and QC is starting to get more and more tanky. He has that Serpent's Mask complete. He's going to have that sustain in the fights, as well as Lorelei almost level 6. Once that water wall is available, they can essentially kite out the wolves, get the attacks here and there, eventually take them down, turn things around very quickly, get that water wall down for that massive barrier. And that should give QC and DefQ the time they need to kill Dienzio.
And I think the comparison that you really want to be looking at here to see which team is ahead in the game is DefQ and T-Tigers. So at the moment, DefQ ever so slightly ahead in terms of itemization, has a light armor, whereas you don't have the light armor on T-Tigers, although he has a heavy prism compared to the Eclipse Prism of DefQ, so it's very even between the two. But if T-Tigers ever gets to a point where he's an item to an item and a half ahead, you can say Tribe are winning. If it stays even, it's probably in Impunity's favor.
Yeah, and a lot of the positioning is going to come down to Quarterboy here, as obviously with the splashdown, he can provide his team the additional movement speed, as well as can prevent Dienzio from making an escape. So we'll have to watch out for those kind of plays.
Goldmine is going to be started up. One flare left in Quarterboy's inventory. That's the attack with Attack. Doesn't allow to Max Green. They're trying to get onto Dienzio, but the Yummy Cabinet Frenzy stops him in the track. There is the most defensive as well. Dienzio somehow surviving, but eventually falls, and now Impunity are going to re-engage this fight. T-Tigers running away from Queasy, but it's straight into the face of Crystal Miner. Queasy's not going to give up the ghost on this one very quickly. The turnaround, though, that's half of that Rona's health. Looking for the red mist, doesn't have it up at for the time being. T-Tigers goes down and Queasy survives. Pops that reflex block at the end. Impunity now winning out that fight, 2 kills to 0. Very strong stuff from them. DefQ trying to steal something away here, but Max Green realizes there may be a Black Feather waiting in the wings.
Definitely might be, but this game has been incredibly close. We've seen the gold lead swing back and forth. Currently, Impunity able to even things up.
This is so good for Impunity.
Oh, absolutely, especially off the back of that first game where Tribe just really looked in control at basically all points. Despite the kills being low, they weren't getting the kills, but they were definitely forcing Impunity out every opportunity they get. They were able to eliminate that Crystal Sentry very early on, and now Tribe, they've gotten some decent damage down on that first turret. They don't get the kill on it, but it is a bit under half at this point. So the next rotation up they make, if Impunity's not there ready to go, they definitely could lose out on that first objective, and that could start to swing things more favorably to Tribe.
I'm going to try and engage on towards DefQ here, but he should be okay as he forces them away. Something I want to see from Impunity is a little bit more vision control. Tribe in the last game had scout traps all over the map. Impunity here isn't placing too many, relying on flares from Quarterboy more than the scout traps. Just double stun with the fish food on towards Tribe to stop them going for an engage.
Yeah, it was a good timed ability there coming out of Quarterboy, that splash down. Again, if you're using it in those choke points as coming up into lane, it's going to be huge. There's that turret down.
Way through it as well. Yummy Cabinet Frenzy on towards the Lorelei, but the Black Feather you want to catch out because he's taken down one. 1-point trade thus far as we continue to see The engage from Impunity. T-Tiger there as he jumps back in. QC doing a lot of damage. The red miss, but the mortal wounds are stopping the healing coming out. And now it's up to Quarterboy to try and keep his Rona alive. But T-Tigers is unrelenting and continues to hunt for his prey. He's going to be able to put a lot of damage down here onto Quarterboy as well. Max Green just dancing around the edge of the fight to make sure he survives. Eventually, it will be a third kill going over towards Tribe as T-Tigers secures it. Def Q back up, so no ace for Tribe, but still a 3-for-1 victory in the fight.
Yeah, that was great. Tribe, again, they do such a great job with their objective control. We saw them come into the lane, and as I mentioned, as soon as they get there, if Impunity is not ready to go, if they aren't able to force the wave back early, Tribe has all the damage they need to just chop that first turret down very, very quickly, and then turn the attention back. Fortunately for the side of Impunity, Def Q was able to secure the kill onto Dienzio with that last little breath that he was able to take, and that really kept Tribe from being able to just take everything. They were eventually able to find all three, but if Dienzio lived through that, it would have given him time with the poison shift. He could have healed back up, and it could have been disastrous.
That it could have been. T-Tiger slightly ahead of Def Q now in terms of build as well. Has finished that broken myth, whereas Def Q still sitting on the components. So Tribe just eking a small advantage out here. About 1,000 gold. Turrets to nil as well, but Impunity are not giving up the ghost yet. The clam hits onto the end, so traps him out for the time being when Max Green goes to re-engage. Has the attack pack. T-Tigers has the yummy captain as well. The Tribe will just back away. Once again, no vision at all for Impunity anywhere through this jungle, so Tribe can dance around as much as they want, although they don't have that many scratch traps of their own as well.
No, they definitely don't, and I liked what Quarterboy did in that last fight. Again, we talked about the zoning that this Lorelei can create. Did a great job. It looked like Dienzio wanted to turn that fight. He wanted to come up through the lane and try to catch them by surprise, but the splashdown definitely kept him from doing so. If he tried to continue that maneuver, the slow would have certainly got him killed. So great plays coming out of Impunity here. They definitely still stand in this game. And now trying to get this ambient golden experience on over to Def Q and QC so that they can get far enough in their builds. This Black Feather is starting to get towards the Dragon's Eye. There it is right there. And as long as he's able to stay in a fight, that can really change the experience that you have on a Black Feather. And now QC, the breaking point is complete, has some defense built, and that's a key component here for this Rona, is to keep Dienzio in the kill zone, to be able to stick, because we've seen it in a couple games already. The Rona versus the Vox matchup, there's just so much kiting potential for the Vox and Sonic Zooms, and definitely gotta be careful.
Resonance Dancer's getting Vox a lot of stats quite quickly. Dienzio up to 7 as that fight began to erupt, but Impunity deciding they didn't want to take any more of the fray. It's going to be a Crystal Sentry going down once again. Still 2 lives remaining. A lot slower here from Tribe. Impunity able to hold him back. Dienzio steps forward once again, and he's willing just to dive underneath that turret, take the shot, but puts the damage back down on towards that Lorelei. He's not allergic to seafood, it would seem.
Definitely not, and definitely a little bit slower paced when T-Tigers doesn't have the same farm as the laners. So, you know, not too terrible. They're still showing that they have control at this point. They were able to take down that Crystal Sentry. Impunity didn't have the means to try to contest it, so they just played it safe and retreated it back to where they can just kind of try to finish things off here. When QC finishes an Atlas Pauldron, if he's able to get an Atlas down onto Dienzio, that is going to help them so incredibly much by slowing down the breaking point stacks that Dienzio will be able to build up. So we'll have to see where things go with that. Again, I do like that Shiver Steel, and when paired with the speed boost that Lorelei can give this Rona, it should make it a little bit easier for Rona to stick onto that backline.
Interesting to see Quarterboy going for the clockwork as well for the extra cooldowns, whereas Max Green going for a bit of damage with that aftershock. You expect that from the Fortress, but we talked earlier on about the mid-game of the Fortress and the Koshka. You know, very powerful, but as you get towards this later game, as you get towards these full builds, a traditional roam tends to just have that little bit more for your team. The clan comes up, stun onto Dienzio. Is he going to sleep with the fishes tonight, or is he going to be able to make a quick meal and fish dinner out of this? Dienzio getting jumped on, but he's able to keep himself alive. There's a wait for it. Def Q gets all the way onto the back line and gets him out with the most offensive. Still somehow surviving. Look at the shield from the water wall. on towards Queasy, keeps him alive. Now Death Q's low, Max Green gets the kill with that aftershock. Queasy jumps in and he's gone down as well. Now it's only up to Quarter Wire, but he's going to fall very quickly. A double kill for Max Green. That aftershock paying off dividends, and Tribe get the ace and clean up Impunity.
Things were looking really good for Impunity there. They were able to get the kill onto Dienzio very early, but T-Tigers was healthy enough to come through and pick up a couple kills of his own. They're going to go ahead and take down that turret. Quartervoir, as again, with that water wall, has so much ability to change the outcome of this game. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough that time around, but again, it is a much later game at win condition for them. You know, we're kind of at that point in the game where the Koshka and Fortress are still really in their prime. It's going to be just a little bit longer before that Koshka starts to slow down as the defense is starting to get built. I mean, we don't have any shield yet on QC. We have a little bit of shield built on DefQ, but no Aegises yet, which are really going to cut down what Koshka is able to do. And that's what we see. Koshka cleaning up the fights that Dienzio starts. I mean, it's an assassin.
Yeah.
That's
what he does.
Yeah,
that's what T-Tigers does so well, and that's what Dienzio and T-Tigers do so well together.
Exactly. Playing towards that win condition, and now we might have another fight right here.
Great start on T-Tigers, though, as they dive on towards Dienzio. The red mist coming out. Dienzio's going to fall, and Deku so healthy here. Max Green's going to go down as well. Quarterbar getting chased off towards the bottom side, but T-Tigers realize he can't do too much about this. The fish is chasing the cat, but T-Tigers might be able to stalk his way away. Looks like Impunity are going to turn their eyes towards the Kraken instead. Quarterbar has started it up. This is great stuff through Impunity, and it's so important for them that they take this game. Their first series of groups, they are already at a 25% loss rate in their group. They've lost one of the 4 matches they will play. If they win this one, they can keep that number low. But if they lose this, they basically lost half of their group stage games. You need to win every single game to have a chance of making it to the quarterfinals, and Impunity now in a much stronger position after taking that crack.
Well, taking that last fight, evening the gold up a little bit. Not quite there. We're still 4,000 ahead for Tribe, but it's not the 6,000 we were at.
Yeah, there are turrets on the map.
Kraken marching down there. Yeah, so definitely a huge opportunity for Impunity here. If they're able to take 2 turrets at least off this push, then they hands down win the trade-off here. They'll have equalized the gold, but they'll have taken the turret advantage that Tribe had and basically negated it. Here we go.
Attack of the pack. This feels more like zoning than anything else. They're just trying to push Impunity back, trying to keep that Kraken alive. Koshka and Fortress not the easiest to take down a Kraken with. T-Tiger's going to jump back in. That Kraken's still doing a lot of work. He tries to get on towards the end zone in that backline. The Ember's coming out as well. Death's quite low. To the water wall, the massive shield. T-Tiger's still alive. He's going to jump back in on towards DefQ. The turret goes down. Great climb, but it's blocked out. And Quartervoir is somehow still alive. Greasy jumps in, can't quite find his way onto T-Tigers. Going to push him with the Kraken instead. Quartervoir is going to fall. It's going to be 2 kills in favor of Tribe, but Greasy is looking for this turret as well. 3 turrets would be absolutely ginormous for them if they can take it. I think they're going to get it as well. Queasy looking to get his way away will escape. The turret is going to go down to that Kraken as well. Superb stuff from Impunity to secure 3 turrets with that Kraken push. Tigers don't think he's going to be able to make this chase.
No, he shouldn't be able to. Thrown over into the fray. Oh, it's getting close. Nope, T-Tiger's going to pull off. So that is now a little bit of a turret lead coming for Impunity. They have 3 turrets remaining, while Tribe is sitting on just the Vein Crystal turrets at this point. And we have seen the fights start to get to that point, where they are shifting a little bit more into Impunity's favor. However, I think they burned a little too much too early in that last fight, and as soon as Tribe saw that, they kicked it into high gear, turned things around, and were able to take 2 kills, but you know, at what cost? The whole time they were chasing down those kills, that Kraken was wailing away at that turret. QC making that executive decision to go help it out, knowing this Rona out of the fray can definitely help.
Atlas Paulden just finished on Queasy as well, alongside those war treads, so he's in such a good position here. Looks like Quarterbar's going up towards an Echo for the double water wall. He's only 200 gold away from that as well. So if we see that before the next big fight, that is going to be so impactful for Impunity. However, Dienzio, 3 weapon power items, almost finished some armor there as well. Max Green's basically at full build for a Fortress. T-Tiger's at full build basically on that Koshka, just needs to upgrade that armor and upgrade those boots to finish off these builds. So we're getting towards those 6 items, we're getting towards those full team fight builds, and We said in picks and bans, we thought perhaps Impunity would have a little bit more strength in the late game, but you still have to play the fights perfectly to win.
Well, the last game was over like a minute ago. So the fact that they're holding their own, in fact, ahead in turrets at this point, is definitely huge for them. Now, we do still need to see this Atlas come online for DefQ. While QC can get onto D'Enzio pretty consistently, can use that Atlas to slow him down, there's not a whole lot of crowd control that D'Enzio has to worry about. You do have...
Oh, Tigers so low, but here comes DefQ, and I'm sorry, that's one of your 9 lives gone, T-Tigers.
That is 3 of his 9 lives
yes,
gone.
Sorry, that's the third one.
So 14-10 at this point in the game. 2,500 gold lead for the side of Tribe, but we're at that point in the game where the gold lead really starts to not matter. These builds are getting very close to being complete. DefQ maybe a little bit more behind than I'd like to see him at this point, but you know, it is the nature of the beast when you're up against a Koshka who does such a good job in the early game. But now Impunity, they're going for it. They've started this Kraken up. All 3 members are here, and I don't know if Tribe can make it in time. And with only 2 turrets remaining, this could be Impunity's opportunity. They're at the point that Koshka is not quite as big of a threat as she once was. We only have 1 Atlas Pauldron as well for Tribe. I would have liked to see one of those come out a little bit earlier for T-Tigers, since you know you're going to fall off in the late game on this Koshka. You know that the Rona, when that first Atlas Pauldron comes through, she's very likely just going to pop the red mist. Attack speed doesn't matter at that point. Getting that second Atlas Pauldron could potentially change the damage source. But here we go, Tribe, they're looking for this fight.
They feel like they need to fight, but they don't think they can track him down in that pure push. Max Green steps a little bit too far forward, DefQ jumps in. Impunity willing to reset the fight. The Kraken is still pushing in here. It's already into the base, nearing those crystal turrets. Still at full HP as well. Right, on the back foot, the Clam is going to land up towards the top side, up towards T-Tigers. He's getting chased out here. Perhaps a little bit overextended, somehow surviving up towards the backside, but the fountain has been used, and now Impunity can step into the base of Tribe with no fear. They just want the fight here. They're looking for that first crystal turret. They will take it. The Kraken's still over half HP. D'Enzio trying to do what he can, building up those breaking point stacks. 11 now. Can he do enough? I don't think so, because the Kraken is still on the side of Impunity, and our hometown heroes are looking for their first win here in the World Finals, in the World Championship here in Singapore. DefQ cleaning up entirely. T-Tiger's going to be the last one to fall. Great play from DefQ, and Impunity are going to tie up the series at 1-1 and take their first win in Singapore.
And Impunity, the heart of Singapore, the home team, able to turn things around, able to take down Tribe, who made that bold statement of that first pick Koshka. Might have bite him in the butt a little bit there, though, because, you know, again, that Koshka starts to fall off, and the Rona and Blackfeather really have an easy time dealing with